Good evening. Welcome to ONV, a healthy conversation. I am Nurse Pat. Tonight our topic is epilepsy, and I have with me our guest, Keyonia Cox, and she have with her her parents, Ms. Vickie and Mr. Larry Cox. Now, I must admit that I don't know a lot about epilepsy. I do know that it's a brain disorder, and the person that have the seizures have no control over them. I have two granddaughters that, as little ones, they used to have seizures, but I guess they kind of outgrew them because it's been years and they're both in their 20s now, and they have not had seizures. But when I was little, and again, don't try to get your calculator and figure out how old I am, but somewhere in the 50s and early 60s, I had a cousin. And all I know, my grandmother said she was having fits. As I got older and I learned that that's what it was, she was having seizures. And she would have these spells, as they would call them. And after a while, she'd lay there silent for a while, and then they'd get her up, and she would be, to me, herself, a normal person. So, but Keyonia is going to enlighten us on epilepsy, and I'm sure her parents will be able to tell us what it's like dealing with a child that has epilepsy. Keyonia, I'm going to turn it over to you if you'll introduce yourself properly and tell us about your journey.
Okay. My name is Keyonia Cox, and I'm an epileptic. I have been an epileptic since I was about 13 years old. That's when we technically found out. That's when I had my grand mal seizures. But my mom, she saw signs and symptoms when I was 7 years old. And I think that's just kind of when things started to happen within me. And so it was very difficult for me because I had my first grand mal seizure when I was 13. And I was in the 8th grade. And of course, being 13, just starting your teens, and just already going through life and trying to figure out being a teenager and going through adolescence and trying to learn who you are as a person, and then to find out and to be diagnosed with epilepsy was very difficult for me.
Now, you said you think it started at age 7. Was there anything that happened during that time different that you would say? And the reason I ask that is because my one granddaughter, we think she had her seizure around that time, maybe a little younger, but she was outside, and we took it as her being overheated. But your parents will witness this. Kids don't hear you when you talk to them anyway. And she would sit there and stare off, what we thought, stare off into space when you're talking to her. She's ignoring us. Okay, I know you hear me talking to you. And then she would respond. But it was in the summertime, and she passed out in the neighbor's yard. And we thought it was from the heat, and that's when we found out she was having seizures. So what happened to make them think that something was different at age 7?
I believe that was the same scenario with me. I believe it happened in the summertime. Am I correct, Mom? And I was 7 years old and probably just outside playing. And Mom was probably calling me in to come inside or something. And I didn't respond to her, and that's called a petit mal. So, and then I was kind of probably looking up in the air and staring off into space, and I didn't hear my mom calling me, and that happens with a petit mal, that you think that the child or the person hears you, but they don't because they lose all focus and concentration.
Okay. And what was it like, Mrs. Cox, that first time for you as a parent?
Well, I have 3 daughters, and my middle daughter is the one that found her when she had her grand mal seizure, and she ran to us and said, "Something's wrong with Keyonia. Something's wrong with Keyonia." So we immediately picked her up and took her to the emergency, and then that's when they put all the electrodes on her, the wires and everything, and found out that she was actually diagnosed at that point in time, that she was having seizures. So yeah, it was a little frightening. I had to learn a lot. I had to learn how to handle her situation. I had to learn what to do when she wasn't around me, and I had to learn to tell the schools that this is what's happening to her. If you need to get in contact with me at any time, please do. Don't let her just sit in the office and say she don't feel good. Call me. I need to be there. So that's how I would react to it.
Okay. So with you, though, Keyonia, going to school, were you afraid or embarrassed to be around your friends? I'm just wondering, as a young lady especially, what was it like?
I wouldn't say so much that I was afraid or embarrassed. I just had a difficult time because when you're a child, but especially a teenager, you're cruel. You're very cruel because they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand what is going on. And when I was growing up, epilepsy, there was not enough awareness about it. And so people didn't really understand, and they didn't understand what I was going through. So it was difficult, and I tried to explain it the best that I could, but I was still learning myself.
Okay. We're going to get your daddy in on this. As a father, what was some of the things you experienced with your daughter as a child? Now she's an adult, but as a child, what was it? Some of the things that you went through with her.
Well, one of the scariest things is to see your daughter laying on the floor, not moving, and wondering why. Did she hit her head, or what was going on? So we had to adapt to the situation, which I give all credit to my wife for this, because it was a learning curve. Doctors told her she wasn't going to be able to do anything, drive, skate, swim. But my wife says, "Oh no, we're going to figure out how to handle this." But there was a learning curve to see between the doctors and the education system. We didn't know what to look for. So it was a learning experience for me as a teacher, and for Keyonia as she was going through this. And as she learned, I learned to look for it in other children as they were in elementary school or in middle school. The best thing I can say is I think Keyonia has handled this very well. She has done all the things that the doctor says she couldn't do. She is a graduate of Indiana State. She has several degrees. She still drives. But she has learned to handle the epileptic moments that come into her life. She knows what to do. And if your parents can put out a program like my wife had for my daughter, your daughter can live, or son can live a normal life. And that's, I think, the asset to Keyonia's strength is what my wife has outlined, how we handle the situation. Vickie, you have something to say about this?
Well, I'm going to turn it over to.
I just listening to you, all three of you talking here, and I can only relate a little bit with, like I said, my granddaughters, because I don't believe that they have them now. As like I said, I know it's been a while, but with the first one that had the seizure, she was my next door neighbor at the time. She would stand in the door and watch for him to come home. And he was just like another family member to her. And she had watched him come home. And her thing was, when he comes home, She'd shoot across the yards to his house, and they'd be back there tinkering. He'd have her think she was building something or helping him fix something. And he brought her in his arms, and he was, I don't know what's wrong with her. I found her. She was laying in the yard. And that was it with her. And we, again, just thought she got too hot, called 911. They took her to the hospital. And then she was diagnosed with seizures. And again, as your dad had said, Mr. Cox said, well, she wasn't going to drive. And I think she was maybe 21 when she did get her driver's license. But, oh, don't ride with her. She knows one speed. Zoom.
Sounds familiar.
That's her one speed. And she will go anywhere she wants to go. And again, she's a college graduate. She works. She lives alone. Nobody will live with them. And everything. So it isn't. Now, are you still prone to seizures? And if you don't mind me asking you that.
I am still prone to seizures, and because a person or individual has seizures, it doesn't mean that they're an epileptic. They have to have more than one seizure in order to be deemed as an epileptic.
And that's what I'm not sure either one of them were diagnosed, even though they had more than one seizure. But as they got older, they seemed to not have them anymore. Now, the youngest one was maybe a week old when she had her first one, somewhere in there. But yeah, she was, and when her first seizure occurred, and they were on medication, and I don't believe either one of them are on any medication for that now. Yes. So how does medication help you?
Well, if you do have epilepsy as a child, you can grow out of it.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
And so in terms of medication, yes, there are several medications out there on the market. And I personally don't like to state which medication that I take because,
no, that's fine.
Because I don't want someone to just go out and run out and say, oh, I'm going to take that medicine because I'm going to be cured or da-da-da-da. Every medicine works differently for everyone in their body. And so the medication that I'm on, I have been on it for about 13 years now, and I absolutely love it. I was having seizures often with another medication that I was on, but this one that I'm on, I have not had a grand mal seizure in 13 years.
Oh, that's great. We can give you a hand clap on that one.
Thank you.
That is great. Now, are you employed outside of the household? Are you able to be, I don't want to use the term normal because what is normal?
Right, exactly.
But are you a functioning adult?
Yes, I am a functioning adult and proud of it.
What would you say to a parent, Mrs. Cox, if they found out tomorrow that their child is epileptic?
I would say get to know your child. Get to know what their actions are, their reactions. Get to know what type of foods that they eat. Get to know their abilities, what they can do and what they can't do. Because like Keyonia said, people used to tease her a little bit about having epilepsy. And I always told her, their opinion doesn't have to be your reality. You know, that's their opinion of how you are or whatever. But you know you, so you do you. Don't let somebody else's opinion be your reality. And with Keyonia, like my husband said, the doctor said she would never go swimming. She would never ride a bike. She would never drive a car. She shouldn't be out of our sight, too far. She went to college. And she went to college not in Fort Wayne. It was out of town. She drives. She swims. She does it all. And I told the doctor, I said, no, that's not going to be. She's going to grow up being like a normal, quote, unnormal person, and she's going to do everything everybody else does. She's going to have that chance. I didn't teach her learn helplessness. I don't think that's a good thing. So, but yeah, just get to know your child. So, because I can look at her sometimes and tell when she's about to have a seizure. And I thought, okay, Keyonia, calm down. Or when she gets really upset, I have to talk her through it. Or when she does have a seizure, she goes back to her childhood, I guess. She goes back to like a little child, a baby, whatnot. And I just talked to her. No, you can do this. Get up. Come on, you can do this. And I don't know if it's the sound of my voice, and because she knows that I'm her mom, but she reacts to it. So yes.
Now, Mr. Cox, what would you say to a dad? Because, we as moms, we handle anything. We're a superman.
You're superwoman.
Definitely. And we can handle anything. So what would you say to a dad?
Dads to be, first of all, like my wife said, try to learn what your daughter's going through, because this is a difficult situation for her. And at the time, the medicine may be too strong that they put her on, or just lights can set off a seizure. I've learned that even doing a fire drill, it can trigger a child to go into a seizure. Strobe lights, not even at a concert. My smallest daughter would take me to see Ninja Turtles when the music is blaring and loud, and you would see some kids almost go into a seizure because they just freeze and stare into space. But overall, I think we are now at a time and place and generation where back when she was 13, they didn't have the technology to really diagnose what she really needs. They now have some surgeries that can almost eliminate some of the seizures for epilepsy. They have some DNA things that they can do to help lower the petit mal or grand mal seizures. These are things that we now can look forward to. So, Dad, if you have a daughter that you think that might have seizures or epilepsy, get tested. Find out more and more information. It's by the grace of God we made it through this whole situation. Trial and error. He kept a blessing over us. I can remember times when I would be at a track meet, or I would be just tired coming home, and my wife would have to take care of her. Now, it doesn't sound good on my part, but she knew how to trigger Keyonia and calm her down so that she could make it through those moments when she was having a seizure. You don't yell at them. You talk calmly to them. You don't stick a popsicle stick in between their teeth. That's my generation. That's what they would tell us to do.
Yes.
So it's I call it a brand new day, with the outlook of people finding out about epilepsy, and hopefully the teachers in schools will also learn, because if you're having a fire drill and a child freezes, most teachers are saying, well, I'm not going back for that child. I got to worry about the other 28. But if you know this child is epileptic, maybe to get somebody to be a buddy to make sure she gets out of the building doing a fire drill, tornado drill, whatever drill, so that everyone can be safe.
I agree with you on that, the buddy system. Now, being a nurse, and I am currently in the school system, I also teach CPR. So that's one of the things, too, that when I'm doing my training with my teachers is telling them, when you do have a child with whatever the issue is, make sure that child have a buddy. And that buddy is somebody that you can depend on. So when I get outside, I have my buddy with me. Now, with grades in school, being a college graduate, did it affect your learning at all?
I think so. Yes. I really had to focus and to concentrate, and to make sure that my work was done, and that especially math, because I don't like math. I'm not a math person.
Don't blame it on the
anxiety of it and everything. So, but yes, just to focus and to concentrate on my studies. So.
And I just wondered, because again, I do know that it's something that you can't control.
Correct.
Have you had anyone to say to you that that was your crutch?
Actually, other people have used it as a crutch or handicap for me. I have not done it for myself.
And what do you mean?
They'll say, can't do this or you can't do that. And I said, yes, I can.
Good.
I can do it. As my mom said, she did not teach me learn helplessness. And I don't live by that. So I just try to make sure I get my rest. I eat right, have a proper diet, and I exercise. Exercise, I found, has really, really helped me a lot. It controls my anxiety. Just to help keep you in shape, and keep me focused, as Mom says. So yeah, definitely, if someone is an epileptic, have them exercise. Mm-hmm. It helps.
Now, we don't like the word exercise. That's a really, really bad word. Because exercise means work. Mm-hmm. So you're saying you have to work at this?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your favorite, or do you have a favorite exercise regime that you use?
It's funny because my dad he's a retired track coach.
No, he's not retired. Just in his mind, Okay.
So I actually like to run now.
Okay.
Yes, and when I was growing up, he tried to get me to run in the track meets and different things like that, but I was hungry, so that was the end of that. But I do like to run now.
So you blamed it on hunger.
Yes.
Oh, okay, and it worked.
Yes.
Well, I took her to a couple of track meets, and I stopped and bought snacks and everything because it was right after school. And she kept saying, I want to go home and eat. I'm like, I have snacks for you. Just be patient. We'll make it. So she did that a couple of times, and she never went back. I guess she thought I was trying to starve her to death or something.
I got second place. I was
But
good.
she got second place.
Even with your snacks?
Yes.
But no, she wouldn't do it. I'm like, okay.
But you said you do run now?
Yes.
And see, now, I like exercise, but I'm not a runner.
It's okay.
You got to be chasing me, and something really got to be chasing me for me to run. But I do, too. I do exercise. And so that I find, as you said, it relaxes me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a person that get up in the morning, because some people are that person and have to do this. And I don't have a regime, but I like walking.
Okay.
Now, that's my favorite form of exercise. I'm in a building all day long, but I can walk that building. So I find a reason to get up from my desk and walk through the building, and that's my favorite form of exercise. Yes. Now, Mrs. Cox, if you had to tell me how to educate my child going through what you went through with your child, what advice would you give me?
Well, like I said earlier, I didn't teach her learn helplessness. I'm not the type of person to say, well, she has epilepsy, she can't do this, she can't do that. Don't do that to your child. Let them know that they can do and be anything that they want to be, just like anybody else, a normal person would be. And as I said earlier, get to know them. Know when they're too hot. Know when they're too cold. Know just things about them that they need to know, as a mother of a child with epilepsy. So, if you go to school, the nurses and her classroom teacher is going to know that she has epilepsy and that she has a problem. She can go to the office, or she can call me, or, whatever the case may be. And as a parent, respond to that. Don't just say, well, the office called, she's having a seizure again, or she's in the nurse's office. You go. You get off that job or wherever you are, and you go. Be there for your child. That's what I would say.
Thank you for that, because I do feel, like I said, being in the school system, I found that a lot of parents, though, are not you. And when I say that is because I deal with a lot of parents that want you to coddle. And it does not seem like you coddle your child, even though you love and cared for your child. You made her the woman that she is today, the two of you. By teaching her, you're not going to get anywhere feeling sorry for yourself. You got to get up and you got to get it done.
Right.
And you didn't let other people discourage her from being who she is.
Right.
And I see a beautiful young woman sitting here with us tonight and able to convey to the public what she's gone through. And is not ashamed of the fact that she struggled with a disease, but she seems like has overcome it. And again, thank you for sharing your story with us. And I see you have some books in front of you. If you want to give up while we have a few minutes, I'm going to let you tell us what you have there.
Okay, so I actually wrote my first book. I have epilepsy a while ago, but I wasn't ready to tell my story yet. So I finally released it in 2021. And so I wrote it because there just was not enough awareness on epilepsy. And there needed to be awareness on epilepsy. There are so many people that do not know what to do if someone has a seizure. So I wrote my first book on that. And then my second book is Consequences, and it came out last year. And so look into that one as well. It's a good one. But having epilepsy, just make sure that the person is lying down, the person is on their side, and you have something soft to put underneath their head, a pillow, a jacket, a blanket, and like I said, make sure that they're on their side and just let them finish having their seizure.
Where can we find your books?
My book is on Amazon, it's on Barnes & Nobles, it's on iTunes, and it's on Kindle.
Okay.
Yes, both of them. So,
All right.
and actually look for my third book because it is due out this year.
Good for you. I want to say that I really appreciate the three of you being here tonight, and I hope that our conversation has enlightened the public on epilepsy. The parents have told other parents how they can work with and deal with having a child that have epilepsy, and all the things that went with it. You have enlightened me. Being a nurse, I know what it is. I know what medically you do for it, but I have not had the experience they had with having a child, having it and having to live with it daily with that, and to do what you've done. And I thank the three of you for being here tonight. It was really great talking to you and learning about it. And I hope that the public out there that is listening to us and watching us have learned something from this, because this is the whole purpose of being here. And go out and get her books. Even if you don't have a child that have it, you may run into somebody on your job or somebody that has a child. So go out, get the books, find out more about epilepsy. Find out how you can help someone that have that disease. Again, thank you tonight. And as ONV always close out with, protect your mind.